And
Yep.
Oh, all right. My clock just hit 7:30, so we'll get started. So good evening. I'll open the Monday, August 23rd, 2021, Littleton Conservation Commission meeting. Go through the administrative discussion of the agenda. Item 1 is to approve the minutes of August 16th, 2021. I don't know if anyone had any omissions or corrections or other edits to the minutes. Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from August 16th, 2021.
Second.
All right, who's doing roll call?
All right, we'll go down the line. Sarah.
And a vote as present.
Carl.
Aye.
Brian.
Brian Crowley, aye.
Julie.
Julie Rupp, aye.
And myself, aye. I didn't miss anybody, right? Is Chase?
Chase isn't here yet.
Not yet.
All right, then it's unanimous
Okay.
with one present.
All right, great.
One abstaining. You can't just be present.
No.
Okay.
And I'd also say there were two more things that I'd like to add to the administrative discussion.
Mhm.
One is for, well, Chase isn't here. One was for Ed Mullen to come in to talk about the reorganization, and then a couple things on town forests. I was going to suggest you put Ed up first, but since Chase isn't here, you might want to wait until he is, perhaps, or.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you if we wanted to do any of these items first.
Because I think it might be quick. You might want to do the Eagle Scout project at Town Forest, if Brandon can keep it short.
Okay, great. All right, let's do the Eagle Scout project at Town Forest. Brandon, you're up. Oh, and I think you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Sorry, I was technical issues. Wrong button. Thank you. I was trying to let you know I just popped in. I just got home from the select board meeting and the green light. They have made the motion to sign off on the project. So as of tonight, the project is officially done as far as the town goes. Obviously, this Eagle Scout paperwork I have to, which they do for to be considered. But as far as Miss Green, the project has been officially signed off. You're done. It's handed over to you. You now have a trail through the town forest.
That's awesome. Thanks very much for your efforts on that. And I know it was a tough summer to be working on something like that for sure.
Thank you.
So,
I made the best of it, and actually it made for even tough weather conditions. Some of those days I got the most volunteers and we worked the hardest. So very much. I had some pictures that on the presentation with me, but I'm sure Miss Green, if you want me, I can email any photos to the commission if you guys want to see any that, or it's you go walk it, I believe, as to any. I would advise as Mr. O'Neill, Miss Green, and Mr. Finlay and I talked about, there is some, it's not easy walking but my sister and my dog have walked it, so it's passable.
It was perfect for a while there, but this current rain has probably flooded some of it.
Yeah,
and there's one partial boardwalk up, informal, and 2 under construction.
Oh, that's fair. I forgot about the hurricane weather conditions and then the tornado watch and the random heavy downpour as I was on my way home from football practice. So there's probably portions that are a little I would walk it right now. So well, that's just wanted to give a quick update as I just got home and had some time. So thank you very much for to help and allowing me to speak, and I will let you get on with your meeting. Thank you.
thanks for coming in. We appreciate the update.
Absolutely. And thank you again for all of your hard work. I mean, you guys worked constantly for weeks and got that in, and it's going to make a huge impact on the trail system in that area. So thank you again, and congratulations on your Eagle Scout.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess you mentioned paperwork. I guess keep us posted if there's paperwork that we need. No, okay, Amy's shaking her head.
Because it's town owned, not conservation owned, the select board.
Oh,
is
the
who's-
select board does it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess if
And
the
the rest
select
is
board
just
needed something from us, they would ask.
all of it's just project report business for the Eagle Scout rank. So nothing left for the town. All is left is for me to fill it out and send off to Scout Council and be on my way.
Got it. All right.
Thank you, Brandon.
So,
You're welcome. Thank you.
yeah, thank you and congratulations. Eagle Scout is quite the feat.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
And if I may, I know Chase has arrived. Do you want to let Ed do his little spiel so he can get
Yep.
out of here and then we can move on?
Absolutely.
Sorry to hold you up, guys. Good evening, everyone. Amy asked me just to give the Conservation Commissioners an update on the reorg for the Land Use and Buildings Department. Obviously, I think everybody's aware that we went through a huge transition and a lot of turnover here at Town Hall. And the two biggest delays in us being able to implement this have actually been vacancies in other departments. In the Finance Department, we didn't have a director, and we didn't have a director. Hopefully this week or next week, the HR director will start. I've had several conversations with Anthony and Maren both, and in conjunction with how we implement this, there's job descriptions that have been created for the director of land use and the assistant director that need to be reviewed and approved by the HR director and also by the soon-to-be personnel advisory committee. I think there's going to be a vote sometime soon to change from the personnel board to the advisory committee. So there's been a lot of things in flux that have prevented this. It's a huge priority for me. I know for Amy and Maren as well. But until HR is in place and we have a director, we just haven't been able to gain any traction. There's been a lot of conversation with Anthony, and he's just begging us to hold our horses for a few more weeks until HR is in place and we can get that going. Any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. I know there's been a lot going on in various town departments recently, and then also certainly COVID kind of took the rug out from under us. You know, so that's definitely appreciate the update. I don't know if Chase had anything he wanted to specifically talk about, or
My only question, I guess, was how does the timing of the realignment align with budget requests and budget season and all of that stuff? Essentially, are they going to dovetail together such that it'll actually work out pretty well, or are they going to be mismatched? And
that's a good question. I actually have a meeting with the finance director, town treasurer Ashley, on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. to review that. She didn't think it was going to be a problem, and she's the expert in budgets. Thank God. And but she didn't think it was going to be a problem, and she was going to also look. I told her about past approvals at town meetings for an assistant for the conservation director, and she's aware of it. She's going to go back and look to see where that money may have ended up and what's still available. Along with, we also had a position for facilities director that was pulled at the same time as Amy's assistant. So we're looking at where that money went. We obviously, it was a protection due to COVID, but we're not sure that we've lost it all yet. So.
And I think that was my primary interest. And I don't mean to speak for the whole commission, but we see a real need to get some help for Amy, essentially to let Amy do what she's really good at.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of just juggling paperwork.
Which would
absolutely.
be, yeah.
And we've talked about it in my, conversations with both Anthony and Joe Layton. The priorities are to get Amy and Maren, the assistants. I can't tell you how grateful I am to have an assistant local building inspector and how much of a burden that lifted off of me. So I want to make it possible for everybody up here that's a department head to get that same support.
Well, certainly let us know if there's anything we can do to help you, and Amy, same thing, to advocate for that and make it clear to the powers that be that's I think would be a real important addition to the town.
Terrific. if I may, through the chair, would it be okay if I reached out to Chase tomorrow for some assistance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
It's fine with me. I had one question that comes up in my mind every now and again. Often folks will come to us because, you or your department has caught, something like, oh, okay, that looks like a wetland, you really should go talk to conservation. What is your process in your department for that? Because I know enough of you to know that, you're good at your job and you're good at running your department, but I know you're not a wetland scientist, so I'm just wondering, do you foresee, that being part of the role that, the new person might be able to assist with, or, and how does that go in general? Because I feel like sometimes things, not as much lately, but, we get old stuff coming in that falls through the cracks. So I was just wondering, like, the process for
Sure.
identifying, that someone might need to come talk to Amy, or a question, is there.
Yeah, I think there's a few factors that come in. One is our permitting software. A lot of times, depending on if it's a new build or a new structure on a piece of property, regardless of whether there's wetlands or not, it gets kicked over to Amy for review, and then she can identify. Sometimes, it could be an ambiguous permit that might not say new structure, but even though we know it is, we'll go onto the assessor's database, the GIS maps, and just hit the wetlands delineations tab. And if we see wetlands, and I tell everybody that you can't trust the measurements on GIS, but if it looks like it's within 200 feet of the property line, we send it to Amy for review. And third, I think it's because, one, I'm a resident, and two, I love the outdoors, so I'm often on parcels of land where I know there's water, and I'll see an application come in, I'll say, yeah, I walked that, recently, so, or near there. And but the primary source is just through the permitting software. It gets kicked to Amy for review 90% of the time. We're catching the other, hopefully 99%. I know there's one that's on the agenda for later that you might want to speak to regarding a structure that got built close to the wetlands. So
Yeah, and I would say, I think right now it's working really well. I think I see pretty much, I don't see plumbing and electrical permits, which is fine with me. But I think I probably got 2 of them sitting in my email right now for approval. If it's something like a window replacement, I will still get the email about it, but I don't need to approve it. It gets kicked back to themselves. But the software is automatically notifying me rather than literally a piece of paper running around trying to get people to sign off on.
That sounds helpful with the software. One of the things on my mind was, I think that the 2 of you are both very good at your jobs, and, Ed, you just spoke to your kind of institutional knowledge of the town. And so I'm thinking to the future, if you guys should move on, do we have procedures in place, that will catch that type of thing? Because, the National Wetlands Inventory mapping, that's often what is on mapping software. And until you get boots on the ground, it's not always accurate. But it sounds like Amy sees far more, than just what might be in the software. So I think that's good. I'm just trying to understand a little more. And, while we're doing this new employee reorganization, if there are procedures that, may need to be in place that, might not hold if either one of you left, that's sort of what I'm thinking about.
yeah,
I think you guys do a great job.
Thank you. I think the software does catch the majority of it. I think the important part is cross training that we're trying to get going up here. We're already, Amy, Maren, and I think we have a great working relationship along with Janet and our new local inspector, Mike Kenny. It's a functioning department where we discuss a lot of things a lot of the time. And, if we see something that's wonky, we talk to each other about it, and, we all get our input and get our say on things. And I think the cross training is important. I also think it's important to get the assistance to both Amy and Maren, so that, we have talk about, expertise and institutional knowledge. Those 2 are instrumental in my success up here. So I need them to have help, one, to continue to help me, and two, if there's ever a day when they decide to move on, I want to make sure that they've shared as much of their expertise and knowledge with whoever's working with them closely.
Yeah, and I think if I do get an assistant, a little more time can be spent with the building permits, because I don't have a lot of time to spend with them. In fact, a permit application you'll be seeing in a couple of weeks is for an area I had no idea there was a wetland, but the consultant caught it. And this will be, they haven't even applied for the bill as a septic system. They haven't even applied yet, but if you're not able to go out there on the ground, you can't rely on the GIS maps.
Agreed. Okay, great. Well, it sounds like you guys are, I think you guys work really well, and, should procedures be identified, I would encourage you to discuss it with us if need be, but, put things in place. Because nobody's around forever.
It's improved significantly since 2015 when I started. There's no question.
That's my impression too. Okay, great. Does anyone else have anything for Ed?
Thanks. I'm going to stick around and watch a little bit, but I'm going to go dark.
Okay. Thanks,
for
Ed.
joining
We
us.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. 7:46. So we'll move on to our first public hearing, notice of intent for 3 Sawyer Lane. Repair of sinkhole in driveway. Got someone here for that one?
Yep, the owner is here. If she wants to, there she is.
Hey, everybody. Kathleen Archer, my husband, Bill Fitzpatrick.
Hi.
Hi.
How's everybody doing?
A little waterlogged, but yeah,
Do you want me
feel
to,
free to share your screen. If you have items to share, feel free to share your screen.
All right, yeah, sure. I have some pictures. So the work is completed, which is the good news. So when we were on here last, we asked for an emergency approval to replace the sinkhole. So I don't know, just before 4th of July, because I think Amy, you were away and we called you on vacation. We had noticed, Bill had noticed can you see that? Can you
Perfect.
see my pictures?
Yes.
Okay. Noticed a sinkhole here in the driveway, and we used Tommy Keening to replace this for us, to replace the culvert. But we had the storm right after 4th of July. The storm previous to this, he was afraid that it was going to open up more, and there would be a big hazard, not only for us but anybody that came into our into our driveway. And this is the only way in and out, by the way. So he put down this steel plate, same thing, the same kind of plate that you see on Taylor Street and other places throughout town. So here's just some pictures of, you can't see the sinkhole under this, obviously, but here's some pictures of the work. So Amy, you were here at the start, and I think you were here, you came at the end when he stopped pumping the water. So he blocked the stream and pumped the water. I mean, typically this time of year, we wouldn't have any water at all going through the little stream that we have on our property, but because of all the wet summer, we had a lot of water. So he sandbagged it and he pumped the water across the driveway to the other side of the stream. We had to replace the head wall, which is this here. You can actually see it out here, maybe in this picture, kind of. I can send these to you. But the head wall was about 9,000 pounds, piece of concrete, and then almost 30 feet of culvert, I think, that went across the driveway. So you see he had to dig everything up, had some big equipment in here to fix it. Here it is at the end, replace the rocks, the loom, and this is a picture that I took today in between the rain. But here is, we've replaced, the grass is starting to come up, and we had our driveway patched and repaved last week. So at this point, the work has been complete. Didn't expect this big of a project.
Right. And Amy, you've been out since they completed the construction?
Yep, I was out there 4 times that day and then once afterwards, and the sump pump worked great. The replacement was all done in the dry. They pulled the sump like around a little after 5 p.m. and there was a little bit of flush of mud as you expect. When I went back at 7 p.m., it was perfectly clear. And it's a really thick wetland down below it. So it was going to stop anything from moving along.
I don't know if you can see this any better here, but it's pretty clear running through there.
Yeah. And Keenan, they did a nice job of rebuilding the facing of the stone wall around it as well. So there's still little habitat nooks and crannies in there.
Yep.
Amy, are small residential projects like this subject to the Massachusetts stream crossing standards?
They are not, because this is a replacement in kind.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be. And because the driveway, because everything's so low, there's really not even room for a box culvert in there anyway, I wouldn't imagine.
And, you know, even if they were, I wouldn't advocate changing anything with this, mostly for my own edification.
Well,
Especially with new crossings, we use those at the very least as a guideline if they're not necessarily applicable, because it gives you a good idea of the dimensions, but a replacement in kind, it's not.
So Amy, what are we doing with this?
This is basically an after the fact notice of
Right.
intent.
Yeah,
So-
I remember that it was an emergency and then an
Yeah.
after the fact notice of intent. So I just wanted to get some clarification on what we need to be doing this evening.
So I think, unfortunately, DEP didn't issue the file number yet. But all this will need the regular standard, order of conditions, which would include the regular condition that, I'll go back next year and just make sure it's still stable. So if the commission agrees that this looks like it's done and no other concerns, what I suggest is continuing this until the 13th, at which point we should have the DEP file number. The archers wouldn't necessarily need to come back, but we can't vote tonight without the state's permit number.
Right, okay. I guess I'm looking at the second to last picture, and the last picture was the whole area planted with grass, or were there other plant species used?
There was grass there and we replaced the grass.
It was all grass to begin with.
Okay.
Even down the slope.
You can see it here. See the grass? This is all what was dug up across here.
Yep.
And we replaced it with grass.
Yep.
There's flowers and rose bushes and Rose of Sharon and lilies all along the sides as well. And there's some wild flowers.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about the spot kind of above the culvert, the soil that you can see in the second to last photo. I was just curious about that.
Where? Here?
It's growing.
Yep.
Here, we've actually.
No, up above.
Up here. Actually, there's all grass here. And just today we had our son, before he goes off to college, actually help us stack some more rocks up here to make it a little bit sturdier. But there's grass all along here. And then this is wood chips and things that we have in here.
Okay. So it's not like I'm thinking about the rains today. We
No.
got like an inch in half an hour this afternoon, which is kind of crazy.
No, it's
It's stable.
pretty good. Yeah. Don't you think?
It's good. It's really good.
The grass and Tommy did a great job. And who thought you could grow grass in August? Not me.
This is quite the summer for growing grass. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Okay. Do any commissioners have comments or questions? Otherwise, we're going to continue to the 13th when we hopefully will have a file number. I can get an order of conditions completed.
And we would agree that the archers don't need to come back for the next meeting. Is that right?
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
So just one question. Amy, you said you have to come out next year. So what is that? Is that a year after the date, or like what? Do we not get the orders of conditions signed off for a year, or how does that work?
No, you would get the order of conditions as soon as the commission closes the hearing in 2 weeks, it looks like at this point.
Okay.
And then you would just need a certificate of compliance. I'm assuming the way things are growing, late next spring, early summer, something like that. I'll put it on my calendar to remind you to get it cleaned up, basically, the paperwork cleaned up.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I would say if you aren't busy, it might not be a bad idea to hop on because we would be discussing the order of conditions and if, so typical things like that 1 year thing that Amy just mentioned, is monitoring to make sure, that things are growing properly, nothing's falling in, that type of thing. So otherwise, I would encourage you to read your order of conditions thoroughly to make sure you're not missing something. But I just wanted to point out, like, no, I guess don't necessarily need to show up, but at the same time, we are going to discuss the order of conditions. So that would be an opportunity to gain understanding or discuss something that that you have concerns about. So I just wanted to point that out. It's
Thank you.
not necessarily yep, there's a file number, we're closed. There may be some discussion that might be of interest to you.
Okay, we will do our best to join.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay. All
And
right.
I'll move that we continue the public hearing associated with 3 Sawyer Lane.
I don't think we have to vote on that.
No, okay.
No,
Then I'll withdraw the motion.
the applicant says that they approve the continuance, so that's all they need.
Good enough.
I always appreciate emotion though, Chase. We'll take it.
A well-phrased motion.
Okay, we have 3 minutes. Do we have anything we can discuss in 3 minutes?
We can try for the
Okay.
certificate of compliance at 628 Newtown.
Okay,
Might take a little more than 3 minutes, but
sure. We could do that. All right, so continued request for certificate of compliance, 628 Newtown. DEP file number 204-771. Sorry, Amy, go ahead.
no, I was just pointing out John Field is here.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here for the owner at 628 Newtown Road, Kartik, who Bud is also present. And we're just trying to get the first certificate or the first order of conditions signed off. So we had the original order that included the construction of the house and the associated other work, the septic system in the driveway. I think the issue was that the owners were maintaining areas over the leach field, and since they've stopped maintaining and will agree to the annual, if any, mowing in that rear portion of the lot.
And everything else looked, this is the road. Yeah. Everything else looked stable. The wetland mitigation and compensatory flood storage areas were built and are stable. They're a little different than maybe designed because the beaver have been in there again, but they're vegetated. They got habitat, and Goddard had done the monitoring for the first couple of years. So the only thing that I noticed out there that was outstanding was the fact that they were mowing in the back, which is part of the conservation area.
Okay, and so they've since ceased
Yes.
that mowing, and you've seen it, Amy?
Yes.
Okay. And then isn't there, I know we were looking at possibly like some driveway maintenance or switching to, is that why we needed to, is that still in the works?
The notice of intent has been filed for that. You'll see it on the
Okay.
13th, I think.
Okay. Okay, I knew that was hanging out there. So it sounds like this one needs to be closed out in order to move forward with the driveway improvements.
Probably, yeah, I would imagine so.
Agree to close this out and then take on the next.
Okay. Do any commissioners have questions or comments?
the mowing restriction, that's in the order of conditions, or is that
Yes,
It's on the deed.
it's on the deed
recorded.
and it's been filed and everything? Okay.
Yes.
yes.
I guess the only comment that I would make there, and it sort of follows Julie's point a moment ago about the 3 Sawyer Lane project. Certainly like to make sure that the homeowners have gone through the entirety of their order of conditions. Given that there's been a point of noncompliance, it's just a reminder that there's a lot in there. I remember this one. We spent a long time writing those conditions.
I think the owner is here. Kartik, if you have anything to say?
No, I mean, well, first, I thank you for considering this. So, it's rained cats and dogs since Amy last visited, and now that area is like knee high in growth. So, you know, we weren't aware of the no mow or mow only once a year condition actually. So I had mowed it coincidentally just the week before Amy visited for the first time, because from March to, I think she came by in May or June. And now it's completely overgrown again. I did take pictures and send it to Amy to say that, you know, it's growing all the time and probably be waist high very soon. So that's how it is right now.
Okay, thank you. Do any other commissioners have questions or comments? Or Amy, did you have anything you wanted to add? No, okay. I would entertain a motion if there are no comments or questions.
I'll make a motion that
Andrew, we can't hear you.
Hear you, Andrew. You're not muted, but something happened to your mic.
I'll jump in then. I'll move that the Conservation Commission issue a certificate of compliance for Mass DEP file number 204771 at 628 Newtown Road.
Second.
Can you guys hear me now? I don't know what happened.
Yep, you're good.
Oh, perfect. All right, I'll run down the line. Sarah,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Brian,
Brian Crowley, yes.
Chase,
Chase, yes.
Julie,
Julie Rep, aye.
and myself, aye. It's unanimous.
All right, great.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, see you in a couple weeks.
Yes, see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for being patient with us. And thanks, John.
All right, take care. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. We'll open the 8 p.m. public hearing notice of intent 23 Moore Lane, DEP file number 204-0939 for a septic system upgrade. So who is here for this one?
Good evening, folks. Matt Morrow here representing the applicant.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's nice to see all of you this evening. So what we have is a notice of intent, and Amy, is it okay if I share my screen? Thank you. Everybody can see that?
Yep.
Okay, what we have is a notice of intent for the upgrade of a septic system to a single-family home at 23 Moore Lane. The area in question has a total amount of work. Basically, it's here. The total amount of work comes to about 1,238 square feet as outlined in the original notice of intent breakdown. We have the 50-foot buffer zone setback here. The closest, this is a Presby system. The closest it comes to the wetland on the system itself with the field is 74.96 feet. However, there is some grading about it, around it, as you can see. And my measurements essentially indicated that it would come no closer to the wetland than 67 feet. This area, as it is an upgrade, was actually very close to meeting the commission's outline under its bylaw for a request for a determination. However, originally we thought it was in the riverfront. Realized a little later on that there was an error in the measurement and it's actually not within the riverfront. However, it still is within a priority habitat. Under state regulation, it's exempt from MESA review because it is an upgrade of a system. However, because of your local bylaw, you felt that the notice of intent was prudent to file. The work outline essentially would be the main here. You've got an existing tank that's going to be utilized and the leach field essentially here. It's a pretty simple project. That's about it, guys.
Here's my button. Thanks, Matt. Do any commissioners have questions or comments on this filing?
Where was the old system here, Matt? You said it's an upgrade. Was it in
I
the
don't
footprint?
know he didn't put the location of the old system, so I'm not exactly sure where it is. He did tell me that the system was going to be essentially filled and left in place. It is within this area, that I do know. It's like within this area over here. Exactly where I do not know.
Can you give us a sense of where you intend to stockpile material and so on as you dig?
Any material that would be, here's the 100-foot buffer zone setback. So any material that would be stockpiled would be basically in the front of the house here between the driveway and this part of the front yard. There would be, he's got the grading here labeled as a 5-foot overdig. That would be the area here where the excavation would also be limited. And then everything would be regraded to this contour right here.
Could we get you to agree to stockpile it on the other side of the driveway so you're taking it outside of the 100-foot?
Well, over here actually would be outside of the 100-foot. Here's your 100-foot buffer zone setback. But if you want to go here, it's not a problem.
What it looks like the wetland wraps around. Maybe I'm misreading your plans here, though.
No, the wetland essentially comes down here and it's not visible on this plan, but if you actually looked at I can pull up the GPS. Don't mind my scrolling, guys. I apologize.
I think you're looking at the wrong line for the 100-foot. I think that stockpile is in the 100-foot.
Yeah, it looked like there was a wetland flag off to the left there.
So Matt, as a point of order, and we've discussed this with you and other engineers, it is required by our bylaw that these plans be submitted and color coded going forward.
Okay. I will make sure that happens.
Point of order that's been mentioned to you numerous times.
So you see wetland flag 6 off to the left there?
That is correct.
So essentially what I'm asking is if you can stockpile it on the other side of the driveway, so you're not stockpiling in the 100-foot.
Right here?
That would be my preference.
Then that's fine. That's not a problem at all.
Matt, would the existing vegetation out there allow you to do that?
Yeah, it's essentially lawn area all over here.
Okay.
This is the only area of the house where it's lawn is over here. Everything else has been pretty much left alone. This lot is very unusual because there is a large wetland system on the property. It's a very large lot, but there's very little usable upland. I do know that I had the, let me see if I can find it. Pardon my scrolling again.
I think Amy, while he's scrolling, maybe the tree BMPs, in case there's, like, to Brian's point, if there's an oak tree or two or something in the front yard so that it's protected.
It's, again, for some reason, this computer is only showing half of this photograph, so I apologize. But here is the existing house. You actually have the lot goes down this way. You have a very large bordering wetland system that goes here.
Matt, how high is the groundwater for the test pits?
Let me take a look. I'm just looking for his notes on this.
It estimated high water in the 2 test holes.
I don't see it on here.
It was in the logs, wasn't it? The two test hole logs. Underneath the little boxes, estimated high groundwater.
Estimated high groundwater. Yep, there it is. Thank you, Amy. Estimated high groundwater, 53 inches in test pit 1. Test pit 2 was 55 inches.
Okay, so this doesn't require a mound.
No.
Okay.
No, the grading doesn't indicate a mound.
Right. And did the old system fail Title V, or is this like a voluntary upgrade?
It's a voluntary upgrade from my understanding, although the old system, from what I understand, wasn't very good.
Okay. Any other commissioners have questions or comments?
Do you have any erosion controls shown on there? That was just the only thing I had noticed.
Yeah, I don't see any erosion controls on here. I was just looking for that myself a little while ago. I will have him draw an arc essentially right around here, and I'll have him make another notation on the plan for the stockpiling over here in compliance with the commission's request.
Can you fix that 100-foot line as well?
Yep, and I will have that fixed up as well.
And some colors, please.
Not a problem.
Have you guys been before the Board of Health with this?
Don't know if he's been before the Board of Health formally. I did talk to Jimmy Gareffi about it, though. Gareffi witnessed the testing and has no problems with his design as presented here.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they have an issue with the Presby system and so on. But if the Board of Health wants to see a substantive change in the alignment, location, et cetera, then we'd like to certainly hear what those changes are.
Well, certainly, if there's any type of change like that in there for some whatever reason, I don't think there will be. But if there is, I would automatically bring it back to the commission for their review.
I agree. I doubt there will be, but
No, excellent. It's an excellent point. Thank you.
I don't think I have anything else to.
Okay. All right, so are we continuing this to the 13th so we can get accurate plans?
Yeah, certainly not inclined to approve it without seeing things like the erosion controls and so on.
Yeah. I think the list is a little too long to
That's not a problem.
approve it tonight.
It's not a problem with me. I'll have it changed and I'll have it sent back up to Amy in time for your next meeting. No problem.
Okay.
And I assume the commission would also want to see erosion controls around the stockpile, even if it's out of the buffer zone. So Matt, I'm gonna make sure that's on there.
Yep. Yeah, we've been getting a ton of rain.
Yeah, considering what the weather conditions have been like this year, it's definitely a prudent move.
Okay, great. All right, we'll see you on the 13th, Matt.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, guys.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Hey, take care.
All right. Well, whoa, I just lost my agenda. There it is. Okay. And I'm not muted, right? Okay. Try to bear with me. Okay. All right. So the next item on our administrative discussion is the Reuben Horror Library Mass DEP file number 204-909, red line change for tree removal. So who do I see Sam is here. Not sure who's here to speak about this one.
I saw Brian here. Oh, there's Brian.
Yeah.
Brian
There's a
Ford.
few folks here.
Okay.
I can maybe speak and give a quick backstory to this, and thank you for having me. My name is Brian Fors. I'm the project manager for the town of Littleton, working for Vertex Companies for the new library project. In discussions with the architect, he told me that the site condition and site demolition plan, he was trying to save as many trees as possible out behind us, where we have our fire road, as well as the new construction of the structure. Now that the building is up and erected and the fire road has been completed, there was some concern out of myself as the owner's project manager and the site representative of the condition of the trees and their status and location to the new structure. We sent some pictures and discussed with the building commissioner and the DPW director, and also spoke with Amy. In talks with Amy, we had the tree warden go down and do a tree assessment of all the trees that are in that grove that were left to be remained. And that report indicated that most of the trees are in a position that they would need to come down.
Say that again, Brian. Are we talking about taking one tree down, or are we talking about taking down that whole grove of trees?
So my concern was one or two of the oak trees that are pretty much the taller ones there. The assessment that the tree warden had done, which I believe was part of the packet, indicated one was low priority, but then there was also, excuse me here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe around 4 trees that he's indicated to be removed.
So this initially started as a discussion of, I think, either tree 1 and 3, which is probably the worst and leaning towards a library needing to come down, at which point I thought this could maybe be a red line change. I'm not sure how the commission sees this now. There's also a tree that was supposed to be saved on, I don't know, if north is up on the south side of the road, the access road, which is behind this, that is gone. And I don't have the original landscape plan handy.
I'm sorry, Amy, are you looking for the site demolition and prep plan from the original documents?
There was a landscaping plan in there that showed a bubble around these trees as well as the one on the other side of the emergency access drive. It was part of the approved set. So I'm not sure if it's on the plans you're mentioning or not.
Okay, I'm not sure either. The current ones that I'm looking at now, that was part of our construction documents, I do not see the tree that you're referencing on the other side of the fire road.
Wait, on the other side of the fire road or uphill from the building? I thought you were saying it was up from
on the woodland side of the building. There was another bubble over there.
Right, not across the fire road.
Across the fire road.
Across, okay. I'm confused.
Closer to the woods.
Okay. I didn't realize there was a tree over there. That was an issue. Okay.
I didn't either until I noticed it wasn't there anymore.
That would indicate a problem. Okay.
I can't get to that plan without logging off of here, so.
If you'd like, Amy, would you like me to share my screen with the plan that I have?
Yeah, and see if you've got it on there.
If this is the same one that you are referencing? Can you see this?
Nope.
It says you're sharing your screen, but nothing's coming up.
Apologies.
No worries.
I think I'm having, oh, all right, 1 second here. Can you look now?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So this is the construction documents that I have. These are also redlined and updated throughout the project that reference any RFIs or sketches that happened on the project, which really doesn't have to pertain to the area in question right now. The area in question we're speaking of was this grove right here that we had that was part of revision number 4, which was prior to the order of conditions, which picked up this grove of trees, this tree to be removed.
I may have misinterpreted that.
Excuse me?
I may have misinterpreted that.
I believe that this one ended up being in a place where it needed to be removed and disposed of.
Yeah.
And then the contour of the erosion control out back was also changed, as well as a precast concrete pipe that was right around the demarcation of the project limit of work.
So it looks like the diagram says to, the trees to remain / protect. And I went out on site, I guess a few weeks ago now, and couldn't help but notice like the critical root zones of the trees in question.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they might have been okay before, they're likely not okay now. Can you tell me like what happened?
Not being on site every day myself, what I know is that they had put construction snow fencing around that grove of trees, and then had to do some regrading once the excavation of the building was performed. They did put some erosion control to try to stop any runoff from where the building patio was built to run down into that area. Whether that was successful or not, I can't speak to that. But as for when the snow fence was removed, I believe that was when they started doing some stabilization along the fire road, as well as some of the rough grading around the rear perimeter of the new structure.
I did notice it was kind of like a check dam type of thing with some silt fencing. I did notice that up the slope, and it's been a real challenging year for
sure.
site control. So I did notice that,
yeah.
and some gullying starting, kind of from the patio area and the building that you had mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I was referring to is that, the tracks and the grading just basically right up to the base of some of the trees. Again, even if they might have been okay, they were certainly impacted at this point with a critical root zone, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that was very much my read too, Julius, that the contractor's choice to drive heavy equipment within a foot or two of the trunk took trees that would have been probably okay and upended it.
would an explanation from the contractor be necessary at this point?
I mean, to my mind, in many ways, it's water under the bridge. And you manage a contractor however you want, but frankly, if this was one of my sites, and I was the owner, I wouldn't be paying to replace those trees. But that's up to you.
Understood.
And I think too, we took a lot of care to discuss which trees were staying and which trees were going. It was a very, thoughtful and lengthy conversation with, several of the library representatives. And, I agree with Chase that, this is, I think that the contractor, has a role obviously in this, and a single oak tree has huge habitat and, climate adaptability, sustainability value. So we certainly would want to see, some relevant replacement of the trees to be taken out. I also noticed that, a lot of the small conifers were all dead. I have no idea if they were dead before. But I'm just concerned that, when you take a grove, or what was a forest and you turn it into a grove, the trees still survive. But the more and more you remove a tree, like a single tree in a lawn or in a field, has a much lower chance of survival, because it's no longer with a group of trees. And so, I think it's an unfortunate loss, for this site to lose the trees that were identified as hazards. And so I think, again, we're not going to tell you, I guess, how to interact with your contractor, but, it seems like it's their actions, and the snow fence was removed, and it looks like the boundaries of the snow fence were not considered by the equipment operators after the snow fence was removed. So I don't know if any other, like, I'm jeopardizing the conversation. I don't know if any other commissioners had questions or comments.
My only comment here is that I don't intend to oppose the removal of these trees, but my expectation is that there's some replacement or replanting plan, understanding that small saplings provide much lower ecological value than 4 mature trees. So I would expect that replacement to be more than just 4 saplings.
Understood. Is it something you'd like me to engage? Would you like something brought up by the landscape and architect that's part of this project? What they're suggesting?
I speak for myself that I'm extremely disappointed with this, and I feel as though there has to be equal value.
Yeah, so I agree. Sarah, I think equal value, which could take a lot of different forms, right?
Correct.
A smaller number of bigger mature trees, a larger number of smaller, less mature trees, but they should be replaced.
I agree with Julie as well. There was so much time and constructive thought that was put forth with this whole project.
I guess my 2 cents is that I'm wondering where you would even do the replacement back there, because everything's so tight. I guess that's up to your landscape architect to figure out.
Understood.
But might be difficult to try and fit a bunch of trees back there.
I think we all look forward to seeing what they're bringing forth at the next meeting.
Understood.
Brian, what kind of timeline do you need to achieve to remove these trees? Are any do any pose an imminent hazard of any sort, or are they just something that we need to take care of at some point before we finish the project?
The latter is my understanding.
Can you guys?
So I just want to check, is the commission still willing to see this, pursue this as a red line change? That's the other question.
For a point of clarification, are we looking at a red line change to allow the removal, or are we looking to, what is the next factor of that? I understand the trees need to be removed, but curious where we're going with this.
My initial thought when I thought it was just one tree being removed, that I couldn't approve that administratively because there'd been so much discussion, but that the commission might be willing to see this as a red line change. You know, one tree. It's become more than that. Obviously, the project scope hasn't changed. So your options are calling it a minor project change, basically, or requiring an amended order conditions, which is entirely new notifications or require new notice of intent. Those are your three areas you can go.
I don't have any problem handling this as a red line change as long as we've got the replacement plan in hand before those trees come down. Essentially, what I would be fearful of is we allow them to go forward to take them down, and then we never actually follow through on the replacement plan.
I guess my other question too, does the existing order of conditions provide for monitoring mitigation planting?
I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it does. Because there's a lot, there's a whole pollinator initiative going on in there. There's a lot of plantings.
Okay. So that would be my other litmus test for, you know, or one of how can we handle this if the order of conditions adequately provides for monitoring.
Would that, Amy, be all with the same landscape architect contractor? I recognize there's, okay. I think that would be my one concern, is that you have pockets of contractors.
So the library can probably address that, who would do the work and who would be responsible going forward.
Yeah, the design of it would come from the landscape architect. It's ultimately his affidavit that'd be signing off at the end of the project. So we'll be engaging with him as soon as tomorrow.
Okay.
And Brian,
Brian, you said it's the same one?
As the original contract?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
oh, Brian, so I noticed on that plan that you showed a little earlier that you were planning on taking the oak down and the three other maples. What about the smaller pine trees that were mixed in? Are those all coming down as well? Are we just cutting the entire area now? Or are we going to leave like those little ones mixed
My
in?
understanding, the ones that we would just be affecting the ones that were given the assessment by the tree warden.
Okay.
So we're leaving the dead pine trees or conifers.
Hmm.
I mean, they're habitat, so
It'll be easy enough to either ask Steve Whitten or the landscape architect to identify the other 8 trees and the condition of them,
recommendation.
what they are, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so it sounds like more discussion is required.
I don't think there's a good picture in here, really.
Brian, one last question for you, just so I understand this a little bit. I noticed on the cover page of this, 2 of the two of the trees are identified, tree 1 and tree 2, as, severe lean towards target. Okay, fine. I can get my head around those. 3 and 4 are in impact zone. Does that just mean that we've got to take 3 and 4 out to get 1 and 2? I had a hard time following the basis a little bit.
The impact zone means that they are within 80 feet of the building. So if they fall, they will have an impact on the library. So
But that's it, right?
that's what that means, yeah. And because I don't think he assessed what would happen if you just took down 1 and 2 and left 3 and 4.
I guess I'm just struggling a little bit with taking down those 2 trees. We knew they were there. We knew that they would be within the impact zone of the building. I'm struggling a little bit with why we're planning on taking them down now, and we weren't planning on taking them down later if it's just a proximity basis. I get the 2 that have leans or otherwise not healthy, but I think when we discuss this again, I wouldn't mind if Steve is available, and I'll probably go out as long as you're okay with it, Brian, and we can set it up. I wouldn't mind if you guys could mark those trees in the field and we could go take a look at 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Absolutely.
Because last time I was out there, we were really just misunderstood, and I was just looking at 1 tree.
Understood.
Yeah.
And if you could label them with the same numbering scheme that you've got here, I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Chase, and I definitely share your opinion on that. I think it warrants some further discussion.
I think that would change our scope dramatically if we had to look at that zone within all our filings and some of the trees that we're trying to keep here going forward.
Right. I mean, this does come up though, right? I mean,
Right.
this is not unique, and we do,
Pretty frequently.
when we catch it, have conversations about, well, wait a minute, that
Well,
tree
in
is
fact,
super
some of these
close.
trees can live successfully for another 20, 30 years.
Yep,
So,
I agree.
okay. Should keep moving.
Okay. All right, sounds great. So Brian, it sounds like you're going to mark the trees in the field, and at least Chase is going to go look. I think if other commissioners want to look, is there a way for us to get in touch with you, or what's the best way to do that?
The fence is gone.
Oh, the fence is gone. Okay.
The fence is gone. So Brian, if you just let me know when they're flagged, I can see if people either want to do a site walk or do it individually as time allows.
I'll plan on having them flagged tomorrow.
Okay.
And yes, the temporary fence has come down, so the building's secured, but the site, you can walk around the building at this point.
Okay.
And you also might want to double check on the condition of the erosion controls in back there.
Yes, I did get your email, Amy. I did take some pictures of where I thought you had asked for, and I did get some updated erosion control recently. I'll send those to you as soon as tomorrow.
Actually, speaking of, I have one other question, Brian, while we have you. I noticed a large number of bait boxes, like in the resource area.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas we have, pretty significant issues with our raptors and our predators due to bait boxes, it just seems like they're unnecessary. Are they required by the health department?
I will have to look at the contract documents on that, but good question. And if they are still there, I'll address them immediately.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know sometimes it's a standard condition and they get thrown in. It just seems like they're just not sure what we're essentially poisoning chipmunks and, field
Understood.
mice at this point. Okay, great. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Okay. All right. So we will, I'm sure, talk to you soon and have further discussion on the 13th.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much. All right. Moving on. Amy, I'm inclined to do the items that that people are here for first and do the meeting dates last. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. So the next item would be SVT 199 Whitcomb Ave update.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any, I'm not sure who that least is. There's probably no one from SVT here. Just to let you know what happened after the meeting closed last week, I guess, was it just last week? I got a call from one of the abutters who said he and the rest of the opponents to the project, basically, or the commenters, were not told by Laura that the meeting was continued to that date and time, and that she had said she would do so. I happened to get that call just before I was talking to town council, and town council basically said, you guys did what you needed to do. It was all properly noticed that SVT kind of needs to manage their risk, whether they just want to do a new notification or just wait and see if it gets appealed. I believe SVT's inclination right now is to do a re-notification because they can't afford, they don't want to wait for an appeal, which, as the rest of the people listening know, can take years. So Laura, SVT was going to do a notification tomorrow because they thought that was the way to proceed, basically.
Okay, so TBD then, it sounds like, or we'll see them on the 13th.
Actually, and then Laura since then realized that she's on vacation on the 13th, so you'll see them on the 27th. They're just hoping that if the commission, votes the same way after the discussion, that they can get going by November, which I said, if you all do vote September 27th, I can issue it, very quickly. So it's actually already prepared unless things change. So,
okay.
So I will be ripping up all your signatures.
Okay.
Amy, in terms of establishing the record and the basis for why we decided what we decided, do we need to go through the whole essentially conversation again, literally rehashing the same arguments, or can we sort of move past that? And I mean, I very much want to hear what the public has to say, but I guess I'm disinclined to hear myself say the same things again.
Yeah, I think Laura was probably planning on actually either playing a tape of herself or running through her slideshow quickly to narrow it down to what was proposed, and then the commission can take comment and go from there.
Okay. My screen just disappeared again. There we go. Okay.
I think it's a right choice for SVT to just refile. I'm glad they chose to do that.
Yeah,
I was actually surprised
always,
that we didn't have anybody from the public.
And SVT has always been, very careful to try to make sure to include the abutters and listen to them and not cut people out. So that's what they've been doing this whole time.
Okay. Yeah, I called for public input a few times and was surprised that there wasn't any. So, okay. Next is 42 Shagbark update.
So I don't have a full update right now, but I can tell you where we are, where I've gotten so far. Again, this is the barn that I believe was built in 2014, 17, and which
14.
Yeah, which the owner was told as they started construction that they would need a notice of intent or possibly an RDA. Nothing was ever filed. The barn got built. I believe that whole period of time was when there probably wasn't any kind of conservation agent. The building department didn't have as close coordination. And again, that's when things were just on a piece of cover stock and people signed off of it. And I think even at that point, there wasn't even a box for Conservation Commission to sign off on. We did eventually get a box, and then we got into the whole permit thing. So I was going to go out this weekend and try to peer in from the woods and see if I could see anything, but Sunday was a washout, so I didn't do that. So if the commission wants to pursue it, that's the way to go. I did have an initial conversation with town council, who says that if the owner does not want to let you on the property, which the owner has stated he does not want to let you on the property, that he does not think he's in the buffer zone and that the building permit was issued and that's it. So town council basically said, if you wanted to issue and enforce an order, you might need to get a warrant first, a search warrant first to get onto the property to look at the wetlands.
I think as, you know, I'd be interested to hear before we have more discussion, what town council says. I know with the timing that is not in our packet for this evening. So I would caution, you know, conversation on that until we can all really see and learn what council has to say on that.
Is
I
this,
certainly welcome Amy going out and, you know, seeing what she can see and tabling conversation for the next meeting, but I would be curious what council says prior to any more discussion this evening.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to table this until we gather a little more information.
furthermore,
I would be in support of that.
I was going to say, and furthermore, I think this would quite reasonably fall into an executive session
Yes.
exemption.
Okay.
So I would move discussion on this and hold it for future discussion.
Okay.
I see Ed's got his hand up and a member of the public does as well, Julie.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let me circle back at the end, but yeah, take some comment.
Okay. I'll take a couple of comments. Go ahead, Ed.
Madam Chair, if I may, I did pull a building jacket because I'm in my office still. So when I heard the address come up, I pulled it up and I have the permit card, which does show a checkoff point for Conservation Commission. And I'm looking through the permit application. There's also a checkoff for Conservation to take a look at it. Neither one of them are signed off. The plot plan shows the location of the barn that was when it was proposed, but does not delineate any wetlands in that proposed plot plan.
Thanks,
Thank
Ed.
you
That's
for sharing
helpful.
that.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful to.
That would be interesting if that could be perhaps scanned into the packet for record, but also for us to see as well, Ed. Thank you.
I'll get it over to Amy tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Did you have a comment, Chase, before I take the next one?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Okay, Vera Sport.
Yeah, some of us are feeling as though.
Can you please just state your, I know your name is on the screen, but can you please state your name and address for the record, please?
04, and it's 6 Omega Way. I live on the pond. And I feel as though there's some strong arming going on and that the commission should really look into this.
Yep. So I think we are, you know, some of the information that Ed just shared, you know, is something that we don't have in front of us. And I think you just heard also that town council is still working through some things. So yes, we're working on gathering information and looking into this.
I'm glad you are.
Okay. Any other comments before we move on?
So would it be your wish that I maybe try to get town council to come in for an executive session? So we just hear firsthand rather than having me filter things.
Sure, I think that would be advisable if you can do that.
Yep, I agree.
And share Ed's cards as well.
Yep.
With council.
Okay.
All right, next item, 10 Oak Hill Road.
10 Oak Hill Road, this was also on my hit list in my conversation with town council, is the driveway that's across from the main Oak Hill Conservation parking area. And when the town got that property from Bennett Orchards, basically, I had a survey done to see if we could snake a trail in, because it's pretty small right there. And it turns out the 10 Oak Hill driveway is on what is now town property. I initially thought that we'd still get the trail in. I initially thought that maybe we can just give them an easement and leave it, but apparently we cannot do that on town property. So I think the first step is basically to officially write this guy a letter and start with saying you need to move your driveway and see where it goes now. But now that we know about the issue, we need to just kind of keep it alive. And actually, if town council is coming in, they can probably chat to this as well.
Do we have to start with, you have to move your driveway? I don't know. That just seems, for what, what seems to be a fairly innocent mistake, and maybe it wasn't, but I'm going to presume it was innocent until we know otherwise. That seems like a very aggressive first move.
It sounded like that needed to be that wasn't going to be my first move. I was like, fine. I'm sorry I ever looked. Basically. So, I think it's probably good to have a direct conversation with town council, maybe if they're already coming in anyway,
Sure.
and check those steps. At least we could still get the trail in, whether the driveway moves or not. And I think he might have a hard time moving that driveway.
Remind me, is the property owner aware yet? Like, is any, okay.
Oh yeah, the pin is like in the middle of his driveway.
Okay.
And he's got some other encroachments for I think it might be a tree fort and some other things that are not such a big deal that he will or has already moved out of there. The driveway is obviously a lot different than a tree fort.
Yep. Okay. So we wouldn't necessarily be leading with, get your driveway out of here. We might be leading with that because I'm not sure the town has an option. Leeway. Yep. Okay.
Can we subdivide it and sell him whatever piece of 20 square feet he needs for his driveway?
Chase, I nominate you to be on that task force.
Sold.
So I think we can start with a conversation instead of a hatchet. So yeah. Okay.
And that, I think, was all I had.
Okay.
Oh, the meeting dates.
Yep.
The question of the century.
Next one.
No, just in general, going forward in the future. I think the choice is down to, actually, I'm not sure if Wednesdays work for everybody or not. Tuesdays and Thursdays sound like they did not work. So it's either to stay on Monday and either try to go every other week with select board, which does not work because the holidays always force us onto the same night anyway, or move to Wednesdays. And I have Acton Concom Wednesdays, but I can do alternate Wednesdays. It'd just be my Concom night.
Sounds like a lot of coordination. Is that reality with holidays? Although I guess holidays don't fall so much on Wednesdays.
Yeah, Mondays has all the holidays.
Yeah.
So, if we meet twice a month and select board has to meet twice a month and there's a Monday holiday in there, we end up on the same night.
Yep. Yeah, we're off.
And this would also be because when we go in person, I want to make sure we have a place reserved for us for when we would go live. If it's Monday night, we would probably be in room 103 or maybe the fire station. If it's Wednesday, I'm not sure if we can get into the library or not.
Okay. I think Wednesday, is a possibility for me, certainly. It was a baseball night in the spring, but when Monday was too, so.
Does anybody want to
The advantage of if we want to make a change, I think we somewhat have the liberty, if after 6 months we recognize it doesn't work, and we can, speak all together of what works for all the commissioners. I mean, everyone's going to have to try and see if something works, and who knows what the spring will bring. So.
Yep.
Well, I will just say, if we're going live, it's gonna be real hard to jigger things around later, because it's already hard right now to try to find a place where the select board and finance and board and health and planning board, all the rooms are pretty much taken. Which is why I want to stake it, if you will, stake a claim now for something. And whether it's Monday or Wednesday, I don't care too much, but I just want to, at this point, see if anyone wanted to blackball Wednesdays and just say, I just can't do it on Wednesdays.
So, Amy, is the issue room space or is it LCTV? What's the issue?
It's a little bit of both. At the very least, it would need to be a room where they can tape it like the good old days. And God help us if you want to do both at once, a hybrid. So we're down to, and Amber, you can correct me if I'm wrong, to the library, room 103, or the fire department.
I think one thing I've enjoyed about Mondays is that when we set our site walks, we can look at the week ahead, and I think it's just a different mindset that if we're meeting on Wednesdays, we're now looking at our calendars for okay, the next 2 weeks to figure that out, and that may just be a different mindset. But I like looking forward to that week, and we kind of know on Monday what our weeks all look like. But that's just a personal preference.
Plus, triggered, if you meet on Wednesday, I bet you're almost automatically looking at the week next to do a site walk.
Exactly, which I think no one ever knows what the next week is going to bring.
Judy's popping on to help out with this discussion.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for my appearance. So the question is Mondays or Wednesdays? Mondays are really full, like you guys have said. Wednesdays, I believe we generally only have the Board of Health. So as far as how many meetings do we cover on a night, you pretty much have, as long as we could find somebody, you're good. As far as the library is concerned, I'm not sure between the library programming and us using the same room, there's a little bit of negotiation to do there. But that's kind of, did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for jumping in.
So I agree with Sarah that we do a lot of these site visits the same right after those Monday night meetings, and it gives us 4 days. Seems, I don't know, Mondays seem like a better day just even for that reason, Sarah. We do that a lot.
Maybe we could try it for a month, and if it seems like it's...
That's going to be really hard, because I got to do public notifications. Applicants are looking ahead, a month or two for target date. So we can't switch it too much.
That's true.
It'll be hard because applicants have to be in at least 2 weeks ahead of time. And sometimes they're in even before that.
Amy, did you say that Tuesdays was bad for the commission?
I think Sarah said she can't do Tuesdays.
Okay.
And I think Tuesdays we would have to negotiate with finance, somebody.
What day is planning board?
Thursday.
Thursdays.
Oh, okay. I thought planning board was Tuesday. So
Finance committee.
no.
It's Tuesdays.
I mean, let's just.
But planning board and finance don't meet nearly as much as you guys do.
Right. Amy, you tell us what's going to work better, Tuesday or Wednesday. It doesn't, I mean, we'll all try and make it work.
I don't think
Everybody
I'm
just
here.
kind of who has a preference over Tuesday versus Wednesday. And then I think we need to sort this out. We've talked about it for quite some time, and I think we as a commission need to give Amy some guidance. So, if you have a preference over Tuesday or Wednesday or either, let's just go ahead and do a roll call. And she can just kind of write it down Good old tick mark. I'll start. I'm happy to do Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't have a strong preference for either one of those days.
I'll cast a vote for Tuesday, but no strong preference one way or the other.
I prefer Wednesday or keeping it Monday.
And I can do either. So
And I'm Wednesday's marginally better than Tuesday, but again, that one's fine.
That gives me nothing. Nothing.
Well, we know we need to move it off of Monday, right? I mean, it sounded like we need to move it off of Monday because of conflicting space and holidays and although Wednesday's your Acton Conservation Day.
Acton is always first and third Wednesday.
So
I would just make this second and fourth.
Right,
yeah.
but I think that, and then we get into different, whatever, I think for Amy's, I think we would opt for Tuesday. So that way you're not jammed into Wednesday with your meeting. So,
yeah.
I mean, you do the yeoman's
There we go.
work.
That sounds
So,
easy. It's as
yeah.
good a justification as any.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
my understanding is the select board would prefer if nobody else is meeting on Monday nights.
The only hang up there is Carl indicated Wednesday or Monday. Is Tuesday a no-go for you, Carl?
No, I can do Tuesday.
Okay.
I just prefer it's Wednesday. I do have other meetings on Tuesdays, but I'll swing. I'll work it too, just like everyone else.
Yeah. But I mean, I think you've heard, Amy, what we, some of our comments, perhaps give it a whirl for Tuesday.
So why don't I say Tuesday? I probably won't bother changing until January 1st, maybe at this point. But I will let Judy and everybody know that we will be looking for real space sometime in the future on a Tuesday.
Does the commission wish to wait until January?
I have the feeling, Judy, let me know if I'm wrong. I have the feeling like we kind of need to stake a claim sooner rather than later, even if we're not necessarily.
I don't know that. I think what I'm saying in hearing tonight is that we're ready going forward to accept Tuesday. And I guess when I was voting, I wasn't thinking January. I was thinking like October, November, December. Right. So I don't think we should. It's up to the commission, but I don't think we should wait till January to make the pivot.
It'll probably be November.
We don't have all the rooms back yet.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Anyway. Didn't process that.
You could still go on Tuesdays on Zoom until the rooms are available.
Right. Okay.
All right. Whatever the November meetings are, I'll switch to Tuesdays. That'll give the applicants plenty of time because I haven't even set those yet anyway. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. That sounds
That
good.
was painful.
All right.
Changing dates, it's terrible.
We
Or
agree.
a benevolent dictatorship would be better.
Well, I don't want to give any of you an excuse to leave.
All right. Amy, do you have anything else?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. I had one thing I wanted to mention. So I have driven by 9 Air Road a couple of times. There's a lot of material kind of coming off the hill there. The storm drains a couple weeks ago were blocked up. So I think the silt sacks need to be checked, including the one that is on the east side of the driveway. And then also the curbing that's supposed to be catching the material is not, it's full, so to speak. I know the intent isn't for it to be full. And, I understand like they have operations every day and, sweeping 110 2A, could be hazardous, but I've got a couple rounds of photos now from a couple of different days, and there does not seem to be a whole heck of a lot going on regarding maintenance or pulling material back from the curbing. That's supposed to be, the curbing is part of their stormwater design, and supposed to be keeping the material on site.
The curbing, you mean sort of the berming with the gravel? Is that, yeah?
No, the asphalt, the asphalt curb that they created to control stormwater and erosion. So that's full, so to speak. I'm not really sure what to call it, but the material is all the way up against it and going over. So they really need to take a look at that.
Question about point of reference where this is going onto a highway. Does MassDOT care? Like, do we have a checklist of say, okay, this is in kind of our purview, but it's also impacting a highway. So I don't always mean to pass the buck, but is it worthy of saying, hey, this is your road. Can you move this along as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I need to check in on them with their rebuilding of that outfall anyway, so I can just do that all at the same time.
Yeah, I think I would send out a flag or a cry for help on that one.
And also don't forget their sediment removal, or not sediment, soil removal permit is conditioned up the wazoo with the select board. And there may be some actionable clauses within that as well.
And
Yeah,
that was
I think
that's a select board
tomorrow
permit. Who enforces the soil removal permit?
Well,
Ed does, I think.
therein is the problem. Yes, it's technically a permit from the select board, but I think Ed enforces it.
Are you still listening, Ed?
I noticed he was gone. I was looking for his name.
Yeah, I don't see him.
But I think it's pouring again right now. I think that any video in the morning will show a lot of cars going through that water.
Yeah, so just to clarify, I didn't take photos during the rain. It was when the rain was done or had been done for a significant period of time, where I wouldn't have anticipated seeing ponding at the storm drain, for example. So I just think that, site or stormwater maintenance is not occurring at the site based on multiple recent observations.
I will check in with everybody.
Based on what Chase said about the soil removal permit being conditioned, shouldn't we have a copy of that? Since
I have a copy of it somewhere. I basically kind of forgot about it, frankly, but
I would also ask Highway Department to chime in on if they've had complaints of any pooling, just with the water coming down or LPD.
Yep. Okay.
I would think as the soil material gets lower in there, it's not going to have as much to drain through, so we actually may start to get more runoff.
Right.
Would be my guess on that site.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing more towards the east side of the site, whereas it used to just be at and after the driveway going westbound. And I did look upstream of that and didn't see, anything else that could be contributing. The properties upstream or east of 9 Air Road are well vegetated. I didn't, there's nothing obvious that would be eroding from that standpoint. I can send you some photos, Amy, from the last couple of weeks. Okay, that's all I have. I don't know if anyone else had anything. Were you about to say something, Amy? Sorry about that.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Would entertain a motion to adjourn if nobody has anything.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, roll call. Sarah.
Sarah, aye.
Carl.
Aye.
Julie.
Julie Rupp, aye.
Brian.
Brian Crowley, aye.
Chase.
Chase, yes.
And myself, aye. All right.